So we are live. Let me just get that link for everyone that's in our room on tonight so that you all may be able to share. So it is now going to be posted. It's right there in the chat box for those that are in the Zoom room. And hello to everyone in YouTube world, social media world. We ask at this time, if you have found the video as of yet, if you would go ahead and share that with others that you know that may have an issue finding the page. And we're going to go ahead and share that to our Facebook page as well. And then we will get started momentarily. So give us about 2 minutes to get all of these housekeeping things out of the way, and then we will begin to start. Does everyone in the room see in the chat where the link is? So right down, it looks like a little box with dots in it, right at the bottom. Or if you see other options all the way at the bottom of your of your Zoom, you may see 3 dots. Click on that and look for chat. Okay, that link is also on our Facebook page as well. So if that's easier for you to share there with your folks on Facebook, you may now go to that Facebook page as well and share it from there if that's easier. It is now posted on our Free2Prayz Facebook page as well so that they can get the link. Thank you. All right. We've got all of our housekeeping stuff out of the way. So those of you that are in the room, we ask that you would be so kind and keep yourself on mute until we get kind of to our questions and answers. We appreciate all those that are also on the phone as well. So those that are not on necessarily social media, but you are on the phone, we want to thank you and welcome you for joining as well. We hope to have a great night tonight. It's going to be informational, but it's also going to be praise, for you know that is a part of our name, Free2Prayz. There's always a testimony in the room, and tonight we are going to hear such a great testimony. We're going to have words of hope and inspiration on tonight, and we hope that you leave from this particular setting feeling motivated to share with others and to let someone know that God always shows up for us, even in the midst of the hardest times of our lives. And so again, welcome on tonight. We're just allowing some other people to come in the room to get settled. But we're getting ready to start. It's 7:10, and so we're getting ready to start. My name is Charmaine, and I am the CEO of Free2Prayz Solutions Inc. And on tonight, I have the pleasure of being in the room with a great woman that I've recently been introduced to. Hearing her story and what the Lord has done for her has certainly been a blessing to my life, and thought it not robbery for her to be on this platform tonight before we end Breast Cancer Awareness Month to share with you all as well. And so I am so excited to have her tonight. A little bit about Free2Prayz Incorporated on tonight. We started in August of 2020, but our journey was long before that. We believe in serving the communities with uncommon solutions. And simply what that means is a lot of times people need things, they don't know where to go. Sometimes because of their financial status, they are not allowed in certain settings to get the resources that they need, or they just don't know. And so our job is to be their intercessor. Our job is to be that catalyst for them so that we can be their mouthpiece, so that we can find the resources that they need, and also to direct them to where they actually can get those resources if we do not have them on our platform. And so we do mentoring, we do counseling, we do senior advocacy, we reach out to seniors who have issues with reading certain paperwork. We make sure that we send out happy mail to them to make sure that we bring brightness to their day. We do so much. We've helped people move from one state to the next, actually did everything, and even meeting their moving truck before they got there. So there are a variety of things that we do. If you go to www.free2prayz.org, you can see a list of things that we actually offer. And we hope that there is an opportunity for us to also offer those services to you as well. We also provide grief counseling in addition to taking care of obituaries and things of that nature. So if any of those services may suit your needs in the future, feel free to reach us, to share with others about us, and so that we can continue to grow. Again, thank you for your time and to come in the room with us on tonight, and to share this Pink Friday with us. So kudos to all of you who have on your pink tonight. We see some pink in the house on tonight. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. We greatly, greatly appreciate all of you for being in the house tonight. We're going to get started because we know that some of you go to bed really, really early. And so we don't want to take up too much of your time. So we're going to get started. Certainly, if you feel free to put your video on, if you want to be a part of the party on tonight, certainly we would love to see your faces. But if not, there's no harm done. We love you anyway. All right, we're going to get started. There will be opportunity tonight to win some prizes. So make sure that you stay in there because we do have some prizes that we will be mailing out or handing out depending on where you live at. But we want to make sure that it's a fun night on tonight. So again, I have introduced myself on tonight. I want to present to you one of the breast cancer survivors who is on fire. She has so much to give to this world. There's so much without even her journey that she's going to do in this world. And so I am blessed that I get an opportunity to be a part of that start of what the Lord will do in her life. And so on tonight, I present to some and I introduce to others, none other than Miss Sonya Cartwright. Let's give it up for her, guys. Let's give it up.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you again, Ms. Sonya, for being part of this journey. I actually thank my mother who introduced me to you. And so it has been a blessing. It has not been that long, but such a blessing she is, even in listening to her story. And I know that you guys are going to be blessed on tonight. And so, Ms. Sonya, tonight I want to start off by you just kind of sharing tonight with everybody what your journey has been. Tell us a little bit about where you're from, and let's talk about, where were you at when your journey began? Where were you at in life?
Okay. Thank you. That's a great question. I was 29 and I was born in Caribou, Maine, but I was raised in Baltimore, Maryland. So I, lived my entire life here. I was 29 years old, married. I actually was pregnant with my second child. And when I went for my after I had her, I went for my checkup. And that's when, I told the doctor that I had some sensitivity under my arm. And, that was where my journey began. And so I was at the peak of my career. I was a hairstylist and doing well. And then this, I won't even say that we look at cancer as negative, but it's all about perspective because what you learn in the process of your journey, it makes you appreciate life so much more. Things we take for granted, we look at so much more. I think I age so much more during my growth of having it, and afterward, my perspective of life, it just grew me up so much more. But I worked very hard, and uh they told me I had to stop working for a year and fight for my life. I was actually, when I was diagnosed, I was in stage 3B um, cancer, in which I have the BRCA2 gene, which was inherited from my grandmother. My dad, he had cancer at 65. So, my children had the gene test. And when they had the gene test, they just started giving that test like 9 years out from when I was diagnosed with it. And come to find out, my oldest has the gene. And so my youngest that I was pregnant with when I had cancer, she didn't have the gene. But yeah, so that it's an inherited gene. And you can have more than breast cancer, but we have had breast cancer, and my grandmother passed away from it. My father had it. I had other family members who had it as well. So, during this process, they told me I would have 5 rounds of chemo, uh, my mastectomy. I had to get, what else did I had to get radiation afterwards, and then I had to get a bone marrow transplant. And that I had to, with the bone marrow transplant, I had to give myself needles to build up my bone marrow every day. And after several months, they extracted my bone marrow and they gave it back to me, and when they gave me higher dosages of chemo. So, yeah, but I will say, let me back up a second. When I was diagnosed and I knew I was going to lose my hair and everything, I said, well, I did not want my kids to see me or pictures of me looking morbid, sick, and or anything like that, because I didn't know if I was going to make it, but I was going to give it everything I had. So what I did was I said, well, I'm going to get me some different wigs and I'm going to have fun with it. And so I got a platinum blonde bob wig. I had a black bob wig. I had a short red wig. I had a brown curly Whitney Houston wig. And I said, you know what? I think I had another wig too. And I said, whatever I feel like in the morning, that's what I'm going to be, and I would put my makeup on and I would put my clothes on, because I think that, when we feel look bad, we feel bad. But when we look good, it builds our confidence, make us feel better. And so that's what I would do every day. And even one time I went to get my treatment, and they said, you can't park here. This is for cancer patients. And I said, I am a cancer patient. I've been coming here for a month. And so he's like, oh, you don't look like one, but I didn't want to look like that. And so I think that when you have a positive attitude and don't let the negativity of what comes with cancer, I think that's half the journey right there. And just really making the most of every moment, in your journey. And that's what I did. I made lots of memories, on purpose. I was intentional about it. But yeah, so that's what I did. And I did my my year. And it's been 32 years since um that I have been in remission. And I go by my daughter's birthday because they say you have to go by when you were diagnosed, and I was diagnosed right when I had her. So she helps me to stay on point with how old I was when I had it. But you know, I found that, like I said, I learned so much through my cancer journey about just life and perspective and just enjoying life to the fullest, because the medicines and stuff can make you sick. And I have side effects from it now. I have congestive heart failure. I have some other stuff, lipedema, some other things from that. But with that, I'm still here, and I'm excited about being here. And I'm glad that I can go to the doctors and get the help that I need. I know others who were on a journey with me who later were diagnosed and they're not here. And so, yeah, I mean, I think I had a good walk.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Um, I know already some of you have already been blessed by this story on tonight. Just a few questions for you tonight.
Okay.
One, I want to ask, what was it or who was it that provided you with the ability to fight?
Well, when I was diagnosed, my children were just so little, and when I felt like I couldn't, it was my desire that I want to see my kids grow up, And I remember when they told me that I had cancer, I had my older daughter with me. And I took her in the bathroom and I just hugged her and I was just like, I'm going to fight. I'm going to give it everything I have to be here, be with you. And got my little cry out. But um, when I felt like I couldn't go on or I was tired and I didn't want to do it, it was thinking about them and being able to be a part of their life, And my prayer was, Lord, just please let me be able to grow up and see my kids, grow up and go to college or just graduate from high school. But He's gave me that plus some, and so I've even achieved, things beyond my dreams, like I didn't think I would go to college. I went to school after my youngest graduated and I got my bachelor's in business, my master's in life coaching, psychology with life coaching, and able to change careers. So God has blessed me tremendously with, you know, time, life, and even just being able to do it. Even with my congestive heart failure and stuff, I still am able to, do. I'm not, immobile. I can do things. So yeah.
Awesome. What was one thing you wish that people would have stopped saying during your journey? Was there anything that irritated you that people said during your journey that kind of just was like, could you please stop?
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
Everybody in my journey was very encouraging to me. And I think part of it was watching me because I wasn't negative, I was positive. And when they saw me, I was always smiling. I was doing things. I have one of my dear friends, she always say, Sonya, I've never seen anybody go through cancer like you did. And she said, I would inspire her by watching me, and she said, "You would get your chemo and you would take the kids to the movies, or you would go do this or do that." And so I think that just having a different perspective of how I carried myself, it set the tone for how people talk to me about it because I wasn't trying to let it beat me. I was trying to beat it. So yeah, everybody was positive.
Can someone who is quite tired of fighting right now tap into another level of hope?
Well, of course, I would always say, God first, and read your scriptures, connect with a spiritual community. And if they're not that, it also, um, you know, when you get tired, you have to find purpose, find a goal to focus on, something that gives you hope that you want to do, and start to do those things. Take, the baby step, take your steps, set some goals, but don't make it overwhelming when you're going through the process. Because when you're going through the process of cancer, one of the biggest things I learned, like when I was going through my cancer, they told me that I had to get my rest. They told me I couldn't work. Now, a lot of people do work, but I feel like when you have cancer, if you have a cold, what did they say? You need to rest. So if you are fighting cancer, what do you think you need? Rest.
Rest. Mhm.
You need some rest so that your body can fight and heal, and so but allow yourself time to rest, but allow yourself to start dreaming, making plans about what you want to do when you finish your treatment, because life doesn't stop because you have cancer. And so yeah, so that's what I would say set some positive goals, start to think about things you want to do, and be intentional about living each day to the fullest, not in like a negative way, but find thing if it's something that you was on your bucket list, try to do just a little something every day, something that you can do, and that will uplift you and make you feel good.
What are some tips that you can give those who are currently receiving treatment, whether that be chemo or radiation? Any tips that you could give them to kind of help along their journey, maybe with appetite or pain or anything of that nature?
Appetite. Well, I mean, when the medicine make you can't, when you have that metal taste, you have to find something that you like, that you can tolerate. I would say do that. Eat healthy. Definitely find the foods that help you to fight your cancer, because there are, berries, different healthy things that we can do that also helps. Because, your fight isn't just getting the chemo, the radiation, it's attitude, it's, what we're feeding our body, it's our stress level. We need to definitely, try not to let stuff worry us, because, stress alone can kill you. So when you're going through something like this, you want to try to let go of some of that. If you can, all of it, just try to focus on your goal to get through where you are. But definitely, I would say eat healthy foods, and if you need to talk to somebody, find somebody that you can talk to, whether it be spiritual or a counselor or therapist or something to help you make it through. And so I think that that is uh, good. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I mean, it's a lot, I'm sure, but I can't really think of anything right now. But yeah, I would say, start to do some things that they want to do, that they can do. Like if they want to go and take some dance lessons or do some things, do some positive stuff, something that they enjoy doing, because that will uplift their spirits and, help them during that time. But yeah, I think eating healthy, getting plenty of rest, and understand that this fight is only for several months. If you focus on it and you say, I've been diagnosed, they gave me this amount of time. And with that time, you do what the doctors say. Don't give them no rebuttal. Follow their instructions. And, I found that when I did that, like I told you, I'm still here, and I know some people who didn't at first, who didn't take it serious. And another thing that I've learned from being on a journey is when you have breast cancer or just any type of cancer, it's good to go to like a teaching hospital, because teaching hospitals have trials that they can give you where other hospitals don't have that. And so when they're not a teaching hospital, when they get to the place where it's only um, when they've done all they can do, they send you to a teaching hospital. But during that time, your cancer is already aggressive. You still have to get reevaluated before they can even do anything. But if you're already at the teaching hospital, then what will happen is they already have your trial ready for you. Well, if this don't work, we can try that. And you don't lose time, because one of the biggest things with cancer is time, because if you don't address it early, then what happens is the time that you lose, that cancer is growing. And so that's part of your fight, is acknowledging it and accepting it and doing what you need to, and really being intentional about doing everything that you have to make it through.
So much. Is there anyone in the room that have any questions? You can take yourself off mute or you can put it in the chat for us. If you're on YouTube and you're watching and you have a question, if you want to go ahead and drop it in the chat as well on live, so that we can get your questions answered on tonight. So if there's anybody online who has a comment as well, not just a question, you may unmute yourself on tonight so that we can help you.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. What would you say to someone who is going through cancer right now, and that person says she's tired, and she's tired of taking medication, she's tired of the chemo, the needles, she's just tired and disgusted? What would you say to that person?
I would say that you have to be intentional and understand that it's only for a season. You have to keep on, following through. It gets tiresome. It does. You get tired. You want to quit. But when you quit, you can't you can't finish. Quitters never win, but winners, they never quit. And so when you are fighting, you have to give your all. Even when you're tired, you still have to press on. And I would say, just think about, like, what would you lose if you stop? Well, is the cancer going to get worse? Is it going to, cause you to get to a place where you're terminal? So, while you're in the fight, I would say continue to just think positive, think about your children, think about, what it is that you want to do when you finish. Just be positive about where you are. I know I'm tired, but when you think about your loved ones, when you think about how God has blessed you, and you made it as far as you have, you think about the doctors and stuff that you have that's been in your corner, and just, it's not only you. And one thing that helped me too, when I got tired, you know what I thought about? I thought about Jesus. Think about, he didn't choose that, but he had to do it. You know what I mean? He went to that cross for us. And that's what we have to do. And when you're doing this, your children are watching and people all over are watching, and you're touching so many lives as you're walking through your journey. And, it inspires others as they're going through, when they have other things that come, and it may not even be cancer, it could be something else, but because of your walk, when you're tired and you just let that just inspire you. Like I said, with my kids, I thought, I can't do nothing but fight. But I did get tired and I got weary, but I was like, God, I can't give up. And I just kept doing what the doctor says, doing what the doctor says. And I'll tell you this, 20 years later, after my treatment, well, one of my doctors, this was my surgeon, and he said, he called me his miracle patient. And he said, you ever wonder why I call you that? And I said, no. I said, well, I just thought, anybody that go into remission, you call them a miracle, because everybody is a miracle when you make it, when you're fighting cancer. And he said, no, Sonya. He said, your prognosis was 2 years. Every time I saw you walk through that door, I was happy to see you. And every time I walked through that door, I was smiling. And even like with my congestive heart failure, I because I looked good, my doctors thought I was fine. I kept saying, oh, I'm winded, I don't know what's going on. I'm gaining some weight. And they kept saying, but you look good, son, everything's checking out. But I just was persistent about it. I kept saying it to every doctor, something is off. And then I learned that I had the congestive heart failure. I learned that it was a part of, it was from one of my chemos.
Mm.
And I could have been, down about it, but I said, well, where's the best doctor? Who can you send me to? Because that's what I want. And I found that in doing that, it just having good doctors, good support, you know, I'm still here 32 years later, and so, but I think your family, your kids, what you're modeling as you're going through, when you're feeling down, that's the things that you need to pull on to help you. Because within our own self, we just feel like, I just don't want to do it anymore. But when you get to the other side and you don't have to get the needles and you don't have to do this other stuff, then it's like, thank you, Lord, I made it through. And now and you have your testimony, just like I do right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know my dad, he had breast cancer. And he kept telling the doctors to check him. I think I had breast cancer. And they said, don't all men get breast cancer? And he said, I think I had breast cancer. And I just want you to check. And the doctors would blow him off. And then he had a doctor that said, I'm going to check you. And he did. He was in a zero. It was early. And he said, Sonya, well, what do you think I should do? I said, I think you should be aggressive in your treatment because he was 65. You're 65, but you want to live the best life you can. You don't want to have it come back. So when you give it all you got in the beginning, then you don't have to worry about it coming back, because if you're aggressive, it's not going to be nothing for the cancer to attach to. So he did. He went, he got his breast removed, he did his chemo, he got his radiation, and he was a zero. My father's 83 now, 83. And he just went through prostate cancer last summer. And, but he's still kicking, he's still moving and, doing good. But he was positive through his, going through there. And I took him, I was right there with him. And it attitude just makes a big difference. So when you feeling down and stuff, think of something positive, think about, I would say, for me, it was my kids, my parents, I didn't want, I had a husband, I have a husband. And, but I thought about my family and I just, I wanted to live, and so even though I got sick, and so you say that, I went through when I did my bone marrow transplant, they don't do those anymore, but when I did the bone marrow transplant, they told me I would be shaking and baking and I would be freezing and all of that because the chemo was so strong that they were giving me. And I mean, I literally was in there like, and then the next minute it was all internal. I was burning up, and then, but I was burning up, then I was freezing. And it was like, even the covers and stuff on top of me couldn't take that away from me. And I went through that, but I made it. And so the thing is, whatever anybody's going through, if you see me, you got this, because I went through a whole lot. And, I just, I thank God I didn't know. Look, when I was sick, I called Social Security because they told me I could do that and I could get Social Security back then. And I said, really? And I called it in and they gave me Social Security. So I said, you know what? Right over the phone. I thought, oh, wow, I must really be sick. They think I'm going to die, right? Because they approved me right over the phone. But I think that that was just God, who did that for me. And um, I think that when you look at me, know that whatever you're going through, it'll be over, before you know it. And everything that you're going through, it's going to give you, if you look at it in a positive way, like take away the things that you think about that may have been like, say, your perspective on life. Like for me, I take everything, I make memories. I take them very seriously. Um, when I was working, before I had my cancer, I wanted to open a salon and do this and do that. Had my own salon, but I worked with other people. When I finished, that wasn't important anymore. It was I work, but I wanted to spend time with my kids. I wanted to make
Mhm.
memories. So my perspective on life changed for me. And so, I wanted to, of course, I needed to make the money, but I wanted to be a part of my kids' life more than I would have been had I not had the cancer. I would have been working, 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 working. But then I had them with me all the time and we did things together. So yeah, I hope that answered your question.
You did.
Oh,
You
thank
did. When you first came on, you talked about the type of breast cancer that you had.
you.
And I always thought that breast cancer was just breast cancer. You
Hmm.
know, if you had breast cancer, that it was just all the same. And I
Hmm.
didn't really know the different types, that there were different types
Hmm.
of breast cancer. You heard someone had breast cancer. Okay, they had breast cancer.
Hmm.
But in this last year, I've learned a lot.
Hmm.
And I even heard you when you said you had a different type
Hmm.
of 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 cancer, breast cancer, and you were already at stage 3 when it was found. Is that correct?
That is correct. 3B, almost stage 4.
Okay. And
Hmm.
what kind was it?
It was the BRCA2 gene.
BRCA2.
Hmm.
Okay.
BRCA2.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
A
And
question. Oh, sorry.
Yes, that's
no,
okay.
I was gonna say I looked it up because I wanted to make sure that, I really understood what the BRCA2 gene does. And really, my life, my family's life is textbook to what it does. It's an
Mhm.
inherited gene
Mhm.
and it's gone through my family, and yeah, and it can cause different things to happen, different types of cancers to come too.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, yeah, but I learned a lot from it myself. And I think that once we start to go through it, then it causes us to educate ourselves more and learn
Hmm.
more
Hmm.
about cancer because there's so many different kinds of cancer out there, breast cancer too. Mm.
Right.
Yeah.
Vanessa?
Okay. The question that I have, and I know I got on a little late, but I was just wondering, how did you detect it? I just missed that part. I
Mhm.
didn't hear how you detected it, and that's important. I want to know what you did.
Okay. Well, I was actually pregnant when I had it. And
Oh,
they don't check your breast when you're pregnant.
And
oh.
So,
you're still there?
what'd you say? Oh, okay. Yeah, so um when I had my daughter, I noticed when I was letting my breast drop, I had a lump in my under my arm. It wasn't even my breast, it was under my arm and it had spread to my arm.
Mm.
And I told my doctor when I went for my checkup that I had this lump under my arm, and he said, well, we're gonna have to get that checked, get you a mammogram. And so remind me when you come back so we can schedule it. And I did. And when I went back to get my mammogram, I usually go in and come out, and I've been getting mammograms since I was 16 because of my grandmother.
Oh.
My grandmother, I used to go to my primary care, used to be her primary care on my father's side. And so he made sure that I would go to the doctors. He said, you need to go get, not to the doctors, but go get a mammogram just so we can follow up, make sure that you're okay. So I was really young when I would get them, and I didn't think I was going to get cancer. But yeah, then so when I got the mammogram, the procedure for it, well, they had me sitting and sitting, and then they sent me back, and told me I had to get it again. I did it again, and then they said, you need to get a sonogram. And I said, a sonogram? I said, okay. So got the sonogram, and then it was about 10 people in the room, and everybody's looking, and they're like, they're showing them something on a screen, and I was just looking, and I could see the lump, and I could see the bloodline going attached to the lump. And I said to myself, oh my gosh, don't tell me I had breast cancer. And then when I got dressed and everything, they said, you can call your doctor, because his office was upstairs. They said, you can call your doctor. You need to go see him now.
Mm.
So I knew in that moment that it was something, you know. So I called him and he said, Sonya, can you come upstairs now? I need to see you. And I said, okay. And I did. Went upstairs and he said, he'd been seeing me since I was 16. So he was like, you know, well, it looks like you have a lump. We need to get it biopsied. So you need to go to the doctor's tonight, 8 o'clock at night. Yeah, 8 o'clock at night. I had to go to the doctor's. I was in the office. The office was packed because he was really good. The surgeon that called me his miracle patient. And I don't think I got seen till 10 o'clock. He did the biopsy. The next week when I went back to see my doctor, I was supposed to go and find out my results. And I said, you know, well, can you tell me? Because I don't really know him like that, but you know, I know you. So he said, sure, I'll get it. And oh my gosh, when he told me that, the whole office was in tears because they had watched me grow from 16, have children, get married, you know, and they were like, oh my gosh, everybody was in tears. And so I had to go back to the surgeon that night again, like around 8 o'clock. And then he told me what we were going to do. You know, I was going to have to go to John Hopkins and, you know, meet the oncologist there. And they all said, you know, you have good insurance. I'm going to send you where I send my wife. And I said, well, I can't ask for no better than that, you know? And so they sent me to the best, and I went to Hopkins, and I had Dr. John Fetting, and I had Dr. Michael Schultz was my surgeon, who ended up starting the breast center for St. Joe. He used to just be a surgeon where he would do different kinds of surgeries, but his mom got breast cancer. And then he ended up, you know, putting his focus on breast cancer, started that breast center over there at St. Joe. And now he's back at Sinai again with the breast center there. He moved from there, and now he's back over there. But yeah, Dr. Michael Schultz. But I think, well, now all my doctors are pretty much retired now. But
Mhm.
they were amazing and just really good. So that makes a difference too, if you can have really good doctors. Because I had a cousin on my father's side, she was diagnosed with cancer. And the way that they did mine, they said, we're going to shrink your tumor first because, you know, the larger it is, when we cut it, you know, it spreads, you know, so we don't want that. So we're gonna shrink it. We're gonna give you 5 rounds of chemo, then we're gonna do the surgery, and then we'll do the radiation. And my cousin didn't have good insurance, and they cut her first, and she ended up dying in a year.
Mhm. Oh
Mhm.
my goodness.
Insurance
Okay.
makes a big difference too, you know? Yeah,
Okay. Thank you.
you're welcome. And you know what? We didn't talk about this, but I know, talking about fear when somebody is afraid. Um, Fear kills, and it will definitely change the trajectory of your life if we don't confront what we know is here. I know I have one of my best friends. I would go to her house every day and see her. She used to babysit from home when I would go to the doctors. And she showed me this lump, maybe about this big. And she says, I'm scared. Sonya, I'm scared. I'm like, look, go to the doctors, because whether you go now or you go later, you know, you're still going to have to go through treatment. So why don't you go now? She said, Sonya, I'm afraid. I'm so afraid that I just cannot go. Every month I would go see her. That lump got bigger and bigger and bigger. And she would show it to me every time. And I would say, please, well, I'll go with you. She said, Sonya, I'm too afraid. I can't go. Months went by and it started to ooze. And then once it started to ooze, we had lunch one day and she said, Sonya, I'm going. Well, the lump had gotten big then and it was starting to ooze, which means it was aggressive, kind of, it had little power to it. And so I said, well, do you want me to go with you? She said, no, I don't want you to go. Go pick up the kids. I'm going to go to patient first. They ended up taking her in an ambulance to Northwest Hospital. And she went to Northwest Hospital and they said that she had breast cancer and that she needed to, it was aggressive. I'm sure I think hers might have been a 3-2. And I said, well, Angie, why don't you go to my doctor? My oncologist was really good. They say he's one of the best in the country. People come all over. He was at Johns Hopkins. I was like, why don't you go there? She was like, oh no, I'm gonna stay at Northwest. They found it and I'm gonna stay there. I said, really? I said, well, look, I mean, I can't make her go, but go to the best. If you know they really good, I don't care where they are, go to the best. And then what I tell y'all about teaching hospitals. And so she opted not to go. She went to Northwest, and all you can do is suggest. And, I did, and I was there for her. And her sister said, why don't she go where you went, Sonya? I said, listen, I can't make her. I told her about it. So she went through her treatment. As she's going through her treatment, they can't do anymore. We're going to have to send you to another hospital so that maybe you can get some more treatment. But we've done all we can do. And we're going to send you to a good doctor. And she says, okay. So guess where they sent her? Johns Hopkins. Guess who the doctor was? My doctor. So she calls me up and she says, Sonya, they told me they had this really good doctor they want me to go to. And I said, really? I said, well, who is it? She said, they sending me to Johns Hopkins. I said, well, all right, what's your doctor's name? She said, the doctor is Dr. John Fetting. I said, well, that's my doctor. Now, had she gone from the beginning, they would have had that trial. But she had to go through the process, what I was telling y'all about. She had to go through the process, and Angie fought 3 years before she lost the battle. But had she gone earlier, they would have caught it earlier. She still probably be here with us. When she saw just that little lump, but it was her choice to do what she did. And we have to respect that, what people choose to do for themselves. But, everything is part of the fight. Attitude, diet, rest, determination, fight. All of that is part of the fight. The medication, the chemo, the radiation, all of that is fight, but part of it is what we do within and what we do for ourselves. Making ourselves look good where we feel good, and doing positive things for ourselves. Yeah. I just wanted to talk about that fear because I learned that was part of my journey, being there for her, doing her journey, Mm-hmm.
So Kevin said, you are our hero.
That's my husband.
Sonya said, I'm sorry, Vanessa said, Sonya is so inspirational.
Oh, thank you, Vanessa, and thank you, Kevin.
So if you were blessed on tonight by this inspirational story, let's put some thumbs up. Let's put, something in the chat to let Sonya know that you were blessed on tonight, or you can unmute yourself and let her know how much of the inspiration she was on tonight.
Sonya, you're my hero.
Oh,
You
thank
are a soldier.
Thank you. Thank you, Vanessa. And thank you, Angie.
Thank you.
Vanessa's throwing some hearts up at you.
Oh, thank you.
Some prayer hands in on the chat in YouTube as well.
And
So
this is Kim, and I just want to say I love you so much, and you are such an inspiration to me as well. Thank you for putting in there about the fear, because that's one thing that I think we all struggle with is the
Yeah.
fear. And thank you for always stressing that.
Oh, thank you. I
You're
love
amazing. I love you.
you. I love you too. Don't you ever forget it. All of y'all.
we have several hearts that are being thrown up in the room.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
So we hope that tonight's session was a blessing to you all that were in the room. We hope that you would go back and share it with others so that we can definitely put the awareness out there, but also to give inspiration to those that are still fighting the fight and to celebrate those who have overcome that fight. And so daily let us know that we all have a responsibility to make sure that we look out for one another and certainly push one another to do what we need to do to make it through this journey. So again, let's celebrate Miss Sonya Cartwright on tonight. Let's give God praise for her. Let's give God praise for that testimony of hers on tonight. Certainly we thank God for her support. Mr. Kevin on tonight for being in the room as well and making sure that she was covered on tonight. So Sonya, thank you so much. We pray that your future endeavors will be blessed. We pray that that you will know that eyes have not seen and ears have not heard, neither has it entered the heart of men, what the Lord will do for you, because you're not selfish with your testimony, but you are out here sharing it and inspiring others also that they can make it through, not just breast cancer, but any storm that they're currently in. And so continue to share, continue to inspire, and continue to be a beacon of light in this world. And again, we're so glad that we had the opportunity to spotlight you on tonight. Again, please go to our YouTube pages. For those of you that were on Zoom tonight, please go to our YouTube page so we can build that number up so that we can get the story out to more people so that they also might be blessed and inspired. Thank you all for joining us here at Free2Prayz channel. We are so delighted and elated to have you on tonight. Next month will be our career month, and so we will be dropping career tips and tools and resources here on our Free2Prayz page. We're doing more on YouTube because they're getting rid of a lot of videos on Facebook, but we will go also later on upload this video to our Facebook and our LinkedIn pages as well. Again, we pray that you all have a great Thanksgiving and Christmas and holiday season. Please be safe. We also are praying for all government shutdown employees who are affected by that, those who are not receiving their check, those who are not receiving their resources. Please know that we are interceding for you and that we have your back in prayer. If there's anything that Free2Prayz can do to assist you during this time, please do email us or send us a text message, and we will do the best that we can to be a support to you. Again, thank you to all of you that were in the Zoom room on tonight, and thank all of you who are on YouTube or who will be watching the replay. Take care, everyone, and be blessed.
Bless you.
Amen.
Thank
Amen.
you.
Amen.
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 I hope I
Amen.
touched everybody.